Otto von Bismarck once said, "Only a fool learns from his own mistakes, and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others." I want you to learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to repeat and copy the ones I made, and that you may be counted among the wise. In fact, even the book of Proverbs 9:9 says, "Give instruction to a wise man, and he will still be wiser." Whereas if you give instructions to fools, they get angry, tell you you're wrong, and run off. So I hope that you can take this video and learn something from it and apply it to your own training. So without further ado, let's get into mistake number 1. The first mistake I made in my training was giving up on strength training because I was training the legs on the bike. And so I replaced my leg days in the gym with low cadence days on the bike. Now, obviously when you are cycling, it is a huge leg workout. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm working out the legs on the bike. Is there really a point in also doing a leg day in the gym? Especially when I don't enjoy training legs? Can that just simulate my strength training? So let me just give you a definition so we're on the same page here. Strength is the ability of a neuromuscular system to do work against an external force. Maximum strength is the maximal force generating capacity of that muscle or muscle group. Power is defined as the rate at which force, strength, is being produced, and therefore power equals force times velocity. And we've seen this before. Force here is measured in newtons, velocity is measured in, at least for cycling, RPM, revolutions per minute, and then power measured in watts. Very rarely is your max strength going to affect your numbers on the bike. And here's what I mean by that. When you think about maximum strength, the maximum strength that your body can produce, especially if we look at that power equals force times velocity, to have the maximum force, your velocity must be close to 0. And therefore it's an isometric contraction, meaning almost not moving at all. Think of it like a squat hold. You are able to produce the maximal amount of force in that held position isometric contraction. Whereas on the bike, you're never producing a maximum amount of force at 0 velocity because you need velocity to turn the pedals. And therefore, even if you're in your most explosive sprint ever, you're probably gonna be at a velocity of over 50. Always a dog trying to get in here. Good time to drink from my mom cup. 1 second. Listen, I'm working right now. I'm not gonna let you in. Is that rude? Should I let him in? Okay, تفضل, يلا. Where was I? So typically during a sprint, your cadence is going to be high, and therefore you're not producing the maximum amount of force that you can. Therefore, training max strength, which does have its benefits in certain seasons, should not be the main focus for us as cyclists, because we're cyclists, not powerlifters. But does that mean we shouldn't strength train at all? I know there are a lot of popular books and authors claiming that you can fully replace strength training with low cadence training. And I'm not here trying to argue against that. I just want to place the logic and the arguments before you, tell you why I think it's a good idea to strength train, and let you make your own informed decision. So imagine this. Let's say you have a low cadence session prepared for you. You are going to do 2 20-minute efforts at 250 watts. You're 68 kilograms, and you're gonna do 250 watts at 45 RPM. Pretty low for those 2 20-minute intervals. If you do the math, 45 RPM times 2 times 20 is going to be 1800 RPM over the course of those 40 minutes. Now, I'm not a physicist or anything, but very rarely in the gym are you ever going to do 1800 reps of anything. So in this case, even a low cadence, high force workout is closer to doing something like body weight step-ups if you want to look at the actual newtons of force that are produced. It's nowhere close to that athlete's 100% maximum force generating capacity. And furthermore, there is a few studies that have been done examining the effect between high cadence and low cadence work. And it's shown that low cadence training, although it may help increase the performance of competitive athletes, does not increase the size nor the maximum force production of the leg extensor muscles. So all in all, here's what I'm trying to say. I think low cadence does have some benefits and does have a time and a place. And I'm not saying that you should fully get rid of it, but I'm just saying it doesn't replace strength training. Remember, what you train is what you improve. If you're going to train low cadence, you're very likely going to improve at low cadence work. If you're going to train in the gym, you're likely going to improve at in the gym work. And then if you take that in the gym stuff and transfer it over to on the bike, that's where a lot of the fruit of your labor is actually going to pop up. You can probably do both low cadence and strength, but don't try exchanging one for the other. Cool. Mistake number 2, training too much. This is a mistake I've made. I'm sure a lot of other athletes have made it as well. Now, luckily, sometimes I just get stopped in my tracks and I'm forced to take a rest week, maybe because I'm traveling, or sometimes I just get sick and you're forced to take a rest week. But I think training too much can actually be disastrous. And here's what I mean by that. I wanna tell you the difference between overtraining and overreaching. Overreaching usually happens after several consecutive days of pushing yourself pretty hard. And you may feel a little bit low, but you're able to recover. And that's why overreaching can actually be a good thing if you have adequate recovery. And if you want to learn how to optimize your recovery, check out this video I've linked here. Overtraining happens when you ignore the effects of overreaching and continue pushing yourself really hard, thus making it a lot more challenging for you to recover and creating some kind of chronic fatigue. So let me look at this graph here that I'm going to show you, where overreaching can be helpful for your recovery and for you as an athlete. But if you keep training and ignore those signs, you're going to end up somewhere not so great. Now, it's pretty hard to overtrain, but ambitious athletes do it quite often. And it has some negative effects that come with it. You may be forced to take a week off because you got sick and your immune system is so slow because you have been pushing your body so hard and it's not able to recover. If you don't take your recovery seriously, you won't adapt to your training and you'll only increase that fatigue number. And there's actually a pretty cool way that we are able to look at this, and it's called the Performance Manager chart. If you have Strava, it's called Fitness and Freshness chart. So this is called the Fitness and Freshness chart. You can see fitness 56, fatigue over here is 67. So if we really look, you can see there are periods where my fatigue jumps up and then goes back down. And obviously my fitness is going to react with that, but there have to be strategic. There's times when my fatigue goes down, fitness goes down as well. And these are deload weeks or rest weeks to allow me to adapt to my training. And then we have other deload weeks here. This was a vacation. And since then I've been ramping up the training. You can see strategic parts where I increase the fatigue a lot and then back off to give myself some time to rest. And that is a very valuable tool for you to see if you are overreaching and when you should rest. One quick note is that although the Performance Manager is great, it does not take into account your life stress. It only takes into account your training stress. Life stress includes work, family, babies, sleep, education, spouses, chores, family members passing away, and other things that are definitely going to affect your stress levels and obviously your ability to recover. You know your body better than the Performance Manager does. And so you know if you're gonna need extra time to recover, even if it's emotionally. So train intelligently and listen to your body. Learn to develop the skill of self-awareness and know when you're able to push because you're recovering quick or when you need to take it a little bit easier because you have so much going on your plate. Mistake number 3 is training through a sickness. This is a fun little story. Last year, actually around this time, I think around November, I got hit with a little bit of a sore throat. It's just over here, wasn't too big of a deal. I searched it up, I saw the websites were saying if it's just a sore throat or if it's symptoms above the neck, then you should be good to train. Just take it a little bit easier. So I went, I did my workouts. It was like an hour and a half, 2-hour workout on the trainer. I pushed hard. I could tell I was getting sick because my heart rate was way higher than it normally was for the same efforts, but I'm like, it's okay, I'll recover. I do that workout, feel fine. The next day, I feel good. The next day, by the way, I also trained as well. The day after that, I started getting really bad. My throat was so painful. Every single time I swallowed, it got really painful. And that was day 3 or day 4. Day 5, I was no longer able to be comfortable. Like it was an 8 or 9 out of 10 every time I swallowed, whether it be water, whether it be food, whether it just be, sometimes I'm breathing and I'm in pain. And I was on painkillers, not like painkillers, but I was on Tylenol for every day. I was taking 3, 4, 5 of those a day. That's how bad the pain was. Then I went to the hospital and turns out I had tonsillitis.
Oh
now,
no.
Was it because I trained? Probably not. But do I think my training when I was sick probably worsened off how I was? Maybe. I do think it could have been a factor to how fast I could have recovered. And I think the fact that I pushed myself even while I was beginning to get sick probably didn't help. There's a time and a place for training. If your body is on the verge of getting sick, if you're feeling a little bit of a sore throat or sniffles, sniffies, listen to your body again, develop that skill of self-awareness and take it easy to allow your body to recover and actually do more good in the long term. Because that ended up taking 2 weeks out of me. I lost 10 pounds because I was not able to eat. Not a fun time. I'll show a picture here of what I looked like at the hospital. It's not fun. So just make educated decisions about whether it's actually going to be beneficial for you or not to train. And finally, mistake number 4 is overestimating my abilities and burning my matches in a race. There was an event I did back in February of this year called the Khalifa University Challenge from Abu Dhabi or Dubai all the way to Al Ain. And there's a mountain finish. It was a 193 kilometer race for us, very long. I joined the fast group because at the time I thought I was fast, which I mean, like it wasn't that bad. The only problem is the fast group then split up into the semi-fast group and the really fast group. And I didn't know how fast the really fast group was gonna go, but across the first 180 kilometers, when I looked at my average speed, we were going almost 40 kilometers an hour. Now, that's pretty fast for 180 kilometers, you know, and there is some elevation there as well. I'm not a pro or anything, but I think I pushed myself too hard. My heart rate the entire time was just under the threshold range for 5 hours. And then of course we end off the race with a mountain finish with 1,000 meters of elevation. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I get to the mountain, you know, I fuel up a little bit, I eat a banana, I drink some water, and I head up. My legs, the quads, the hamstrings, the calves, the parts of my legs I didn't even know could cramp were cramping. I had to step off the bike. And I'm like standing there and I can't even move, and my legs and everything was just so painful. And then I had to take it easy. I was forced to take it easy up the climb because I pushed myself so hard beforehand. This cyclist that I passed 2 hours earlier comes beside me up the climb and he's just chilling and he's like, hey man, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm okay, how are you? He's like, I'm good, beautiful day. And I'm like suffering up this climb, my legs are cramping. I'm not able to stand, and so I have to go really slow. And he's just pedaling away like it's no problem, like he just started. And I'm like, man, I'm cramping, this sucks, like it's so hard. And he's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, man, we're all going through it. He's just like, he's just so happy. And maybe there's a lesson there about complaining and being grateful, because he went through literally the exact same race as I did in the same conditions that I did. And maybe I was just in my mind taking it the wrong way, because we both went through the same thing and he's looking at one way and I'm looking at it the other way. But the point is, I burnt too many matches. I overestimated my abilities and it actually affected my ability later in the race to finish the climb, which I did finish it. It took me an hour to finish it. I think I could have done it in like 40 minutes if I paced myself correctly. Anyways, maybe it was my ego wanting me to be faster than what I really was. Maybe I just wanted to push harder and test myself, but I ended up regretting it. And learning how to pace yourself and to properly estimate your abilities is going to be a very valuable skill for you to have, and a mistake I really do want you to avoid. Sometimes we overestimate our abilities, and it's a good thing because you surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Other times in a 6-hour race, it may not be the best idea. It's better to pace yourself and be conservative in an effort like that. Well, there you have it. Those are my mistakes that I have made this year in my training. Actually, not just this year, it's been a while. I just thought of the race one was this year. But those are the mistakes I've done and that I really do want you to learn from and grow from and not copy me. If you are looking for coaching and to take your fitness to the next level this winter, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and shoot me a DM. And let's get you started on the perfect plan for you. I'm giving away free game plan calls. Absolutely nothing, just want to help you come up with a plan to be as efficient as possible in your training and not to waste your energy in the gym. See you next time.